Everyone, Pastor Nathan here. Welcome back to our study of the book of Revelation. Today we're in Revelation chapter 5. There are two or three sort of key things in chapter 5 to keep in mind as we kind of navigate our way through it. Key images that sort of remind us of the hope that we have going through the book of Revelation. So you've got this image of the scroll in the right hand of God. You've got this image of the one authorized to open the scroll, and then you have the person kind of pointing John to the hope and the new song that's then sung in response to kind of the action of Revelation chapter 5. Now, if you remember in Revelation chapter 4, John has been caught up in the Spirit into heaven, and he's now engaged in seeing this vision, writing down this vision concerning what he's seeing in heaven. And one of the first things he sees after the throne room scene from chapter 4 is he sees that God has this scroll in his right hand. The right hand is important because whatever's in the right hand of God is always for the ultimate good of God's people. That's kind of the image all the way throughout the Old Testament. God's right hand, his arm, his hand of salvation, this works good for God's people. So whatever's in this scroll, whatever's contained in this scroll, is for the ultimate good of God's people, which informs then, kind of why John is so sad when the angel shows up, this mighty angel shows up and asks, is there anyone who's worthy to open the scroll? Is there anyone worthy to kind of open this thing? And no one's found, and John weeps. Which then brings us to the question, well, what's with the scroll? Why is it so important? And what makes the person who opens it so special? So what is the deal with those two images, those two big images from chapter 5? Well, the first is that there's a scroll, right? And the scroll has a few unique characteristics to it. The first is it's sealed with 7 seals. Now, seals in the Roman world were a way of kind of like making sure somebody didn't tamper with a document. So for example, if you had a will or a last will and testament, you would seal it with like, like a wax stamped, something like that. You've also got the kinds of seals that are used on like the tomb, for example, of Jesus between his death and his resurrection. It's sealed. So, there's a level of don't mess with this, don't tamper it, no unauthorized kind of usage of this. So you've got these 7 stamps then, these 7 seals on this scroll. So it is basically like, hey, this is perfectly sealed, and only the person who has the authority to open it can open it. Otherwise, it's kind of sealed against any sort of tampering. So there's an authorization that goes along with the seal. The second thing, though, kind of big thing about this is this scroll, at least the scroll, it's written on both sides. And what that means is that if you were writing on it and then you get to the very end of it and there's more to be said and you're not quite finished, so you flip the scroll over and you start writing on that side. So it's a complete document. It's a finished document. There's all that has to be said is said in this. But that's the scroll, and so that's that. The other image is Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world. They're like he's the worthy one. Well, Jesus, John points out in his gospel, is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. John gives us kind of the answer to who the Lamb of God is, but he's also sort of introduced with a couple of different images from the Old Testament. One connected to David, the root of Jesse, and there's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. This thing that we see in Genesis, where Jacob is sort of prophesying about kind of what's going to happen with his kids, and he's blessing them. He's telling them like this is sort of like the characteristics of the people coming out of here are going to be. And Jesus, coming from the tribe of Judah, is this lion, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's this fulfillment of what Jacob sees taking place in Genesis 49. So you've got kind of two sides of this. You've got the scroll that John is like really sad to see not being used, or no one can open it. There's no one worthy to open it. No one's got authorization to open it. And he wants to see it's in it because he's got a sense that, hey, maybe this is about the church. And then you've got the one who is authorized, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world, the root of Jesse, of the tribe of Judah, Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's the one who's authorized, and it's really cool. So you've got this scene then, and Jesus, the Lamb of God, is authorized to open the scroll. So we've got a reflection of Daniel chapter 7, where the Son of Man, one like the Son of Man, shows up and before the Ancient of Days, God the Father there, and is given all this authority. And what we find out in Revelation then, including the authority over whatever's on this scroll. And when Jesus shows up in this scene, then it's the elder, this elder, this person who has been where John has been, kind of in John's shoes to an extent, who's tapping John on the shoulder and says, look, it's the Lamb of God. Look to the Lamb. Look to Jesus. And this happens twice in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 5 and Revelation chapter 7. These two places where this elder says, look to Jesus. Look to the Lamb. Look to him. He's the one that's going to has the authority over whatever's contained in this scroll. And one other cool thing that happens is you got this new song then that's inaugurated by Jesus' return. There's this cool new thing that's happening, this new song, this new praise of God that's taken up as a result of, what Jesus is doing. Jesus' work in the world results in praise, and that's pretty cool too. So what makes all this hopeful then? Well, we're going to find out what's on the scroll, right? Over the next kind of 17 chapters, chapter 6 through chapter 22, the scroll's opened and we see what's on the scroll. And really, it is the everything that's going to happen, or kind of the course of history between Jesus' ascension and his return, between this kind of throne room event and when he comes back. And there's some scary stuff in there. There's some challenging stuff in there, and certainly some hard things that the church and the world are going to experience. But as the follower of Jesus, we know, A, this scroll comes from God's right hand, and B, Jesus, and we didn't even talk about this image earlier, but Jesus, the one who has 7 horns, that is complete power and authority, and then he got all these eyes, which means he's omniscient and omnipotent, and omnipresent. That is, he by the power of the Spirit, he's kind of watching over the whole of his creation, of the creation that he's been given authority over, and he's got all authority, this perfect authority. He's the one guiding human history. He's the one who's authorized to open the scroll and kind of proceed with the events of whatever's going to take place between his ascension and his return. And that's comforting for the Christian, because no matter what, Jesus has not lost control. He's still in control of everything, and that's comforting for us. Next time we'll take up chapter 6. Until then, take care.